Hey everybody, Tim here. Brand new series, pilot episode of Star Trek Discovery. Season 1, episodes 1 and 2, two-parter, which I don't understand why it's the pilot. It's going to be a double episode every pilot since I think the Next Generation, because I think Deep Space Nine had Emissary, and Voyager had the Caretaker, and even Enterprise had Broken Bow. So I don't understand why they didn't just give it like one title. But no, they did two episodes, The Vulcan Hello and Battle at the Binary Stars. Realistically, I would have just done one title, Battle at the Binary Stars, but whatever. Not my show. So anyway, from the very beginning, I actually was really excited for this show. Like, when they first announced it, I was super excited. Brian Fuller, I loved Hannibal. He wrote for Voyager. So, I was super excited for this show. I thought it was going to be great. It's been quite a while since we'd seen a Star Trek TV show, so that alone made me excited. I remember when the first trailer came out, one of my bosses at the time was also really into Star Trek. And I was like, oh my God, look at this. Look at this new show. Look at the ship. Because I think that the original teaser was just like glory shots of Discovery. I was like, oh my God, look at it. It's going to be great. And then they announced it was a prequel. And I was like, oh, okay. You saw how Enterprise did, but whatever. And then slowly I got more and more cautiously optimistic, but it was Star Trek, so I was sure I was going to like it. Finally, the show came out, and I will tell you right now, I am not a fan of Discovery. Now, I'm going to rewatch season 1, because I did make it through season 1. I'm going to rewatch it, and I'm going to kind of use these reviews to talk about why I didn't like it. And who knows, maybe now as a rewatch, maybe now that I've seen the ending, so it's not quite as a big twist, which if you have not watched season 1, err on the side of caution, because I already know the ending of season 1, and I'm going to be talking about a lot of the spoilers. So, that being said, I don't know, for me, the show just doesn't work. It's just, I don't know, it's difficult to describe, so hopefully I can better, articulate what I'm thinking as we go along, but it's almost, edgy to be edgy. I've kind of compared, people have compared, Marvel and DC, where, DC is really, really dark, and Marvel's kind of light and fun. And that's, Discovery and Orville came out at the exact same time. And, that's kind of the comparison. I love Marvel, and I don't like the DC live-action movies. And that's kind of, I love Orville. You have no idea how excited I am to start doing those reviews. Discovery was really dark, and it was really edgy, and they did some things that I do appreciate, but it almost was here's what you want, so we're going to give it to you, rather than just making it feel like it developed naturally. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you disagree, that's fine. As we get to the examples, I'll talk about them as we move along. But just overall, I didn't like it. That's the way it is. That being said, I did watch season 2. I love season 2. I didn't love season 2. I like season 2 a lot more than season 1. And then if you guys have seen my reaction videos to season 3, I am really excited to watch that, presumably in February. Who knows at this point? Because Picard doesn't come back until January 23rd. So I'm guessing February, if not after Picard. But I don't know. Which gives me enough time to kind of go through this. So, that being said, the one thing I loved about the title, and it's super inappropriate, and it shows how juvenile my sense of humor is, people love to abbreviate Star Trek. So, Star Trek the original series is TOS. Star Trek the Next Generation, TNG. DS9. People have done, VOY for Voyager. And then you get to this. It is STD. I don't know. That made me laugh. It's super wrong, but whatever. It's the simple things in life that kind of make you laugh. So I'm going to start this like I do all of my reviews. I'm going to go from the top. I'm going to work my way down. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to dissect. There's a lot to unpack. So kind of bear with me. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. Again, I know I did, what did I do? 86 videos for Enterprise. Out of 86 videos, 70 of them were me bitching. I understand that. I lost a lot of reviewers or subscribers going through Enterprise. So, I don't know. We're going to hope that Discovery's a little bit better. And who knows? Maybe because Discovery's so new, I'll gain some new followers for this. So, for those who have subscribed, thank you. For those who are just tuning in, I would really appreciate it. My husband has to listen to me bitch all the time about it. So, starting from the beginning of the episode, just the Klingons, the subtitles, 24 houses. I'm already kind of over it, like right off the bat. I was like, what? So mostly, for one, the 24 houses is interesting. We've heard a lot about houses in Klingons. 24 is actually significantly less than what I had expected. Because I thought like everybody had their own house. But I don't know, like, I guess I never really paid attention to it or how the whole, like, houses thing worked. I figured just everybody, like, Worf was the son of Moog, so I figured there was the House of Moog. But I don't know, so already, the 24 houses I think is interesting. What the fuck happened to the Klingons? Like, I don't get it, I don't like it. I mean, I understand, like, again, you have a bigger budget, you have more makeup, you can do what you want. When you went from the original series to the motion picture, not even the Next Generation, but the motion picture, and then later on the Next Generation, like, Gene Roddenberry got a bigger budget, and he was like, this is how I want the Klingons to look. He changed their outfits, he changed, like, the forehead ridges, he gave them really long, flowy hair. He was like, that's a Klingon. That's what I want it to look like. And it's like, okay, like, you do you, boo-boo. And, I mean, it worked. Like, I never questioned it for a minute. Like, I was like, oh, why did they change? Didn't care. I was down. I was like, that's what you want them to look like? That's what they look like. We watched The Next Generation, and we saw their culture. We saw their heritage build throughout the series. Deep Space Nine was huge. Like, with Worf, like, and his marriage, and all sorts of stuff like that. We learned so much about Klingons. Voyager, we're going to skip over because there was like 2 episodes. Made sense. Moving on. But still, we understand Klingons now. Like, we have a firm grasp on what a Klingon is. You can show anybody a picture of Worf, and they're going to be like, isn't that a Klingon thing? Yep, moving along. So then we get to the J.J. Abrams Kelvin universe. I'm going to skip over it. You guys have seen those videos. You know why. So, and then, you know what? Like, his Klingons, I don't think they were necessarily changed. Like, I don't know. He wanted to do something big and different, gave him piercings, but still, like, they were recognizable as Klingons. Like, okay, fine. I don't know what happened in this show. Like, this show takes place, like, 100 years roughly after Enterprise, and it takes place roughly... Let's see, Pike. I'm sure they've given an exact number. I want to say it's like 10 years before the original series, somewhere in there. So roughly 10 years, because Spock says he served with Pike like 17 years. So we're going to go with 10. Anyway, like, why? Like, why are you going to change the Klingons? Are we going to get an explanation? Like, are we going to say, oh, this is the Klingons that had, like, were augmented, but then they overcompensated? And, like, no, we're not going to get an explanation. You know we're not, because the writers don't give a fuck. And so, I don't know, like, they're so over the top. They're all bald. Like, I don't know. I'm not digging the Klingons right off the bat. And to be honest, like, to change something so drastically that it's like right from the opening scene, it's too much. Like, right, the opening scene of the show, and you're like, what is that? Is that a Klingon? And it's like, no, like, you need to ease people in and then show us the Klingons. So from there, seeing Michael and the captain, like, walk in the shape of the Starfleet emblem, major eye roll. Like, it's bad. Like, I didn't like that at all. The opening scene was interesting. The sequence, the title sequence. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. Now, I think I've talked about this in some other reviews. watching shows from the 80s, the 90s, you can even go earlier, moving on, the way we as society watch TV shows has changed drastically. Right around the year 2000-ish, especially like 2005, I want to say. Like, that's when you notice the big change, where TV shows that used to be episodic now have story arcs. My main go-to for this like example, when I'm just usually talking to people about it, is actually like Smallville. Smallville is a great example. The first 3 seasons are all the Freak of the Week type TV shows. It's super episodic. Stargate is another one. Super episodic. Which world are we going to today? And then as the shows continue, you start to get around season 4, season 5, and then you get these long, season-long story arcs. Like for Smallville, it was Supergirl, I think, was the first long story arc. And then for Smallville, or for Stargate, what was it? I think it was right around the death of Daniel Jackson. Like it was, and there was like the Ori and Anubis, and they're long story arcs. And you're like, okay, so you have the little episodes in between, but then you have these long episode arcs. Okay, so I think at this time we still had the opening sequence thing where like you watch any show, there's a theme song and they're dancing and there's like clips and all sorts of stuff. Like right around 2010, I think, is when they pretty much eliminated the opening theme songs. Like now it's short, it's quick, and it's like boom, right into the show. Like you don't even know the title of shows anymore. You go back to like Buffy or Star Trek The Next Generation or stuff like that. Just saying the title of an episode, if I were to say The Inner Light or The Chain of Command or anything like The Measure of a Man, anything like that, you know which episode I'm talking about because you saw the title in the episode. They don't do that anymore. Like when you start watching it, you have no idea what the name of it is. You're just watching it. And I really don't like that. I think it's super unfortunate. Now, you get to today's, like, right around, I want to say 2015-ish. I'm super rounding, so bear with me. Like, they have once again changed the way shows do the title sequence. I want to say, like, The Walking Dead is a good example. It has a long opening scene. Game of Thrones is another example. Very long, very musically drawn out. Westworld is another one. And Westworld, like, this reminds me a lot of the Westworld theme. Very long, very drawn out, very musical, simple, like less is more type situation. And it works. Like, it is still really, really good. So I did like the opening sequence, and especially as it ends with like the original series music going on in the background. I loved it. Let's see. We meet Doug Jones, amazing actor. Like, if you don't know who Doug Jones is, like, what are you even watching? I mean, he's been in everything from like Hocus Pocus, any Guillermo del Toro movie ever made. Like, I mean, he was in Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, everything. Like, he's such a good actor. And so just to see him, like, as a reoccurring character that plays Lieutenant Saru, he is amazing. Like, he's so good. I mean, I'm not a big Saru fan, to be honest, but knowing that it's Doug Jones in that outfit, he's great. So the whole flyby scene is kind of interesting, just like Michael, like, trying to get over there to see what's going on. We learn that Michael was raised on Vulcan, which I thought was very interesting. We meet Sarek very early, so we see, let's see, Michael Leonard was the original Sarek, obviously. We saw him in the Kelvin universe, so I think this is the third, like, Sarek that we've actually met. So that's kind of cool. I mean, technically this is before the Kelvin universe, so this is canon. So I was like, okay, it's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know why we're seeing all of this, but whatever. Nobody has seen a Klingon in 100 years. Okay, so that goes back to Enterprise. So you're telling me, like, right around the end of Enterprise was the last encounter with a Klingon we had. So again, it's kind of weird. Meeting Vok, the albino Klingon. Not the first albino Klingon we've seen, surprisingly. There was the one in Deep Space Nine, one of my favorite episodes, Blood Oath. Some people say he wasn't a Klingon, he was just an albino. Dude, he's clearly an albino Klingon, so whatever. But it was kind of interesting. Like, I liked how they tied the albino in there. The main problem I have with Saru is his lines. Like, Doug Jones gives these flawless performances, but, like, it's the writing. Like, I don't like it. Where he's like, my race was born to sense evil, and I sense it now. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's so over-the-top cheese. Like, it is like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street horror, like, cheese level. And it's just, like, zooming in on his eyes, and he's just like, I sense evil. Yeah, okay. You go with that. It's bad. Like, I'm already so over this, like, two-parter, it's not even funny. Michael challenging Sincho, I think it's Captain Sincho. I don't know how you say her name. So I apologize for mispronouncing it. If you guys have seen any of my other reviews, I suck at names, so whatever. But her whole thing where she's like challenging her, openly challenging her after 7 years that they've known each other, and then she does the neck pinch for the mutiny. I was like, like, this is over. This is done. So, I don't know. My father was in the military for a long time. That's how I was raised. I mean, I've talked about in other episodes where I had, like, a buzz cut growing up. Like, that's how I was brought up. The fact that she committed mutiny, and I was like, done. Like, she's over with. So already, I don't like this character. And the fact that they've been together for 7 years, and this just comes out of the blue. And I realize people can act, like, unexpectedly. No, like, to just randomly go, like, I'm taking over your ship. No, you're really not. So the whole first episode was just kind of rough for me. I was not digging it. And then just seeing more Klingon ships arrive, I was like, fuck, like this, here it goes. We're going to keep going. Right into part 2, 7 years ago, and Sarek introduces her as my ward. And I was like, what? Like, so you're telling me that Michael Burnham is like Spock's foster sister? No, I'm done. Why do you do this? You're retconning history. I don't like it. Like, it's hard. Like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Like, already, I'm kind of over it. Because, I don't know, that's the problem with prequels. I talked about it all through Enterprise. You introduce these characters, but yet we get, like, suddenly you're changing everything. Spock does not have a sister. End of sentence. So the fact that now he does bugs the shit out of me. So 24 Klingon ships have arrived, 24 houses, imagine that. As far as filming go, the show looks gorgeous. The whole scene where the brig was destroyed and Michael's just sitting there in the little cube was great. Really liked it. Let's see, the cloaked Klingon ship ramming into the other ship to take out the Admiral. Beautiful. Like, it looks so good. And it's like, this is Star Trek. Like, look at your budget. And you're putting shit out like this? Where she jumps across space with 43% survival chance. I was like, oh, hopefully she dies. There goes the show. The show's over. No, of course she makes it. So, but overall, like, it's just bad. And then the scene where George O's just like, okay, we're going to fight together with the Klingons. She just tried to, like, take you out. She just tried to take over your ship, and you're going to trust her? No. So, and then, of course, she pleads guilty. The end of the pilot. Like, by this point, I was just so done. I'm so over it already. So, I don't know. Like, I already kind of warned you guys. This first season's going to be rough for me. It's going to be a lot of complaining. So, for those who saw these first 2 episodes, what did you guys think? Like, was this the Star Trek you expected it to be? Or liked it to be, or was this completely like, what is this? Like, why am I watching this? Go ahead, let me know what you guys think about Michael, about the captain, about Saru. I would ask what you guys think about Discovery, but oh, guess what? It's not even in the first 2 episodes. So go ahead, let me know what you guys think. Sorry for being so cynical. I'm not enjoying it. But I will see you guys next time for the actual pilot for the series. Context is for kings.